Good morning. My name is Caitlin Colasanti. I am the president of the Banking and Securities Law Society, a student group that works closely with the Center for Law, Economics, and Finance. Our first panel today addresses global systemically important banks and whether they are too big and international to regulate. Our moderator today is Jerry Comizio, partner and chair of the Global Banking Practices Group at Paul Hastings. Our panelists include Rick Osterman, Acting General Counsel of the FDIC, Anna Gelpern, Professor of Law at Georgetown University, Michael Helfer, Vice Chairman of the Operating Committee at Citigroup, and Paul Lee of Counsel at Debevoise & Plimpton. All the participants' biographies are available in our program. Please join me in giving our panelists and moderator a warm welcome. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Well, on behalf of this outstanding panel and myself, thank you so much for having us here at GW Law at the 5th Annual Financial Regulatory Reform Symposium. And in the context of the name of this conference this year, Assessing Dodd-Frank 5 Years After the Crisis, our panel is in fact named Global Systemically Important Banks, Too Big and International to Regulate, ? What we're going to do is I'm going to try to, as the moderator, set the stage for a little bit of our discussion, and then each of the panelists is going to get an opportunity to talk a bit about their views, the challenges, the issues on this very important topic, and then I will do I will have a question for each panelist, followed by audience questions. Since it's Halloween, you may have noticed we all decided to dress as financial services attorneys today. Well, what I'd like to do, maybe to kind of just take a minute or two to set up our discussion, is to revisit the recent past and why we're having this discussion today. Clearly on the world stage, latter part of the 20th century, clearly a trend toward globalization, international commerce, multinational corporations. And clearly, on a worldwide basis, banking institutions have followed this trend as well, and necessarily so. Something that has been for years a concern of the Basel Committee on Bank Supervision on an international basis. Let's focus on the U.S. for a second. The U.S. clearly, in banking, has undergone a trend toward consolidation. Ever since the early 80s, with the beginnings of interstate branching. It's kind of quaint to think that only 30 or so years ago, banks couldn't branch interstate within the United States. But within the advent of what Rick and I lived through as regulators, the savings and loan crisis, definitely beginning of a trend toward consolidation as thousands of community and regional banks failed and were merged into other banking institutions. But as the economy improved, there was like a thunderclap in 1998 when one morning everybody got up and saw that Citicorp and Travelers Insurance Company had decided to merge. Heretofore thought to be a prohibited transaction, actually, but through a lot of clever lawyering and good practice, the merger was approved. And some folks say led directly to the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act